We have one more speaker before our lunch break. So I would like to invite Chris Rawlings, who is the founder of Judolaunch. And you've seen these guys walking in the orange outfit. So I think the only competition you have is these two.
Thanks, dude.
So we're going to decide whose outfit is better by the end of the conference. So Chris is the founder of Judolaunch, which is a product launch platform for Amazon sellers. And he's seen over 1,000 of product being launched. So he has multiple data, knowledge, what works, what doesn't. So today he's going to talk about strategies for product launch that actually worked in 2019. Go ahead.
How's it going, guys? Is everybody feeling good? I know I got the slot right before lunch, so everyone's probably like, oh man, I'm ready to go eat. Hang in there. We're going to go over some cool stuff. All right, so we're going to talk about product launching, things that work in 2019. I'm going to go over the boring stuff. I'm going to go over the exciting stuff. We'll go over some weird stuff that you probably haven't heard of that you might want to try out that I'm pretty sure 99% of you guys don't do. But we're also going to cover the fundamentals because almost everybody misses out on that too. It's not 2014 anymore. So we're going to talk about the prep for the launch, and we're going to talk about the launch. And it's, oh man, now I'm going to mess this up. I should have looked up the quote before I went up here. Was it George Washington? It was either George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Maybe it's neither of them. But he said, if you give me an hour to chop down a tree, I'll spend 50 minutes sharpening my axe. Product launch is like that. It's not 2014 anymore. You can't just do one day of a crazy discounted blast and then all of a sudden you're at the top of page one and you're making tons of money. That actually was possible a couple years back, but it's just not the case anymore. The fundamentals have to be in place. But there are some really cool things you can do that are a little sneaky to give you those fundamentals without a huge amount of effort on the back end. So we're going to start with the prep. So Amazon's competition level has gone up, as we probably all are experiencing, but the market opportunity, it's also going up. I started selling on Amazon in 2015, and at that time, Amazon did I think 73 billion in revenue on just the US marketplace, which we all know is by far the biggest marketplace. Last year, that number was around 250 billion. So 2015, 70 billion, 2018, 250 billion. Whoa, that's not a linear move, that's an exponential move. But the crazy thing is, it's exponential, but we're still like on this part of the curve. The future curve is like going up there. That's why like we're all sitting in this like little room and everybody knows each other in this community because it's still day one, which is the exciting thing. Like imagine where all of you are going to be in 5 years, 6 years. It's going to be a totally different market and a completely different scenario. So you're still in day one. Another little fact to keep in mind is in the US, at least, again, the biggest marketplace, Amazon is only 5% of total retail volume. I believe that number is going up by an order of magnitude, like by 10x. I don't know about you guys. So 5%, I believe that's going to 50% and beyond. You guys are still in day one. It's important to remember that. So what are some ways to defend your moat? If you're thinking long term, like I was saying before, the opportunistic days are over where you come out with a keychain here, and next I'm going to come out with a knife set, and then under the same brand I'm going to do tablecloths. These days you need some kind of, and maybe you still can do that as long as you have another moat, but you need some moats to surround your business, and you need some kind of X factor to make people choose you over the other guy who just slapped his label on a garlic press and decided to start selling on Amazon. So there are 4 basic things that you can do to prepare for a good launch on the product side before you even get to the launch itself. It's creating a unique brand character, creating some kind of innovative design or invention or innovation in the product design itself. And again, I'm going to get into this. You don't have to be an engineer to do this. It's niching down, and then it's licensing or some other type of IP that you can use to protect your brand in the long term. And we're going to just touch on each of them briefly. This is more of like a high-level, 20,000-foot overview of launch strategy. We won't dig into anything super deep, but but you can come talk to me if anything really strikes your fancy. So in terms of unique brand character, here's a brand, Copper Cow, that we've worked with over the past couple months. They're another 500 Startups alumnus, just like us. So these guys have a great story. Debbie is from the States, but she has Vietnamese heritage, and she wanted to create a coffee company that you could travel with your coffee, but still do like a fancy-ass pour-over. It has little milk packets and stuff like that. So, I mean, in all honesty, a product's not curing cancer. You know, it's like a paper thing. It goes over a cup. You pour water into it. Okay, that's cool. But the story is awesome. Debbie went to Vietnam. She made relationships with the farmers. She's got all these pictures and videos about like her fair trade. It's a really cool brand identity. And she's got her face right up there, her beautiful face, and people connect to other human beings' faces. It tells her story. She was picked up by the Wall Street Journal because of how good the story was, and she got picked up by one of the top tech accelerators in the world, 500 Startups, because she had a unique character, a unique brand identity. And I mean, the weird thing is in this space, like a lot of people are afraid to kind of put themselves out there, like just they want a big screen between them and their business and don't want to talk about it. If you can get over that and step through that and be the face, or if it's not you, it can be another story. It could be your partner, or it could be someone in your team, or it can just be a story about the farmers or the producers, whatever it is. Creating a story around the product really makes you stand out because you can't duplicate that. A Chinese manufacturer can't copy this. They can't. That can't be copied. It really can't. That story can't be copied. So I really love the example that I chose for this one. So for unique design and innovation, I mean, the magic comes in, and I'm going to show this later, when you combine some of these strategies, but the unique design and innovation doesn't have to be like what Kevin was talking about. Where's Kevin? Oh, he's not here. Wow, I'm going to kick his ass later. It doesn't have to be what Kevin did, like creating a new mold. Oh, there he is. Oh, sorry. Oh, man, I'm going to get my ass kicked later. So it doesn't have to be what Kevin did, spending $36,000 on a mold. If you can do that, that is excellent, and you should. By the way, a little hack for that is utilize the engineering department of your manufacturer. I know Kevin definitely utilizes this a lot. So they have engineering resources in-house that you can hijack. You can say, oh man, I've got a full 40-foot container load for you if you can make this happen. I have the sketches, you guys make the CAD drawings and like make the mold. And trust me, they will be motivated to do that. I've done this with my own brand before I even went out there. And then I went to Shenzhen and worked with the engineers, and wow, I have a whole engineering staff all of a sudden because I hijacked the engineering staff of my supplier. They're motivated to do this for you. So you don't have to be, you don't have to have an engineering degree to come up with designs. You come up with, some idea, and again, it doesn't have to be groundbreaking. I'm going to show you an example here. So imagine you're competing in the toy space and you're selling stuffed animals. Somebody has a teddy bear, another one has a stuffed llama, then there's like a stuffed hippo. They're all competing for spots, on page one for stuffed animal or teddy bear or whatever. And then this dude comes in, raises $500,000 on Kickstarter with a campaign. Literally all they did was produce this stuffed dog, but if you type in on your phone, just type it in, "this is fine," Google Images, you'll see what this is referencing. It's this dog who's just like sitting, like drinking tea while a house is burning around him, and he's just like, "this is fine." And it's a cute little cartoon. These guys capitalized off it fast and in time, and instead of having just a stuffed hippo or a stuffed llama, they have a stuffed "this is fine" dog that just touches our culture for whatever reason because of this viral meme. And probably the fact that we're all so fucking stressed out that we feel like our houses are burning down around us. But $500,000 on Kickstarter to produce a dog, a stuffed dog. Seriously. Like, how could you? If someone said that to me, I'd be like, no, that's not a true story. That's a lie. Okay, niching down. again, Amazon, we all know, is getting more and more competitive. It's a cutthroat market. I think you could have sold weight loss supplements and ranked Garcinia Cambogia. Anyone? Or whatever. Does anyone sell Garcinia Cambogia extract? Okay. Ah, one. All right. Nice. I think you could have, I hope you've been in the space for a long time. Because starting now, I would not. Going for a super broad match term, like trying to sell just straight, trying to rank for whatever, omega-3s, or whatever, that's going to be really, really tough. If you niche down, though, and you really commit, because there's that saying, you try to sell to everybody, you end up selling to nobody. But if you really commit to the person that you're selling to and the specific problem that your product is solving, and you build everything around that in your launch strategy, from what you do in your listing to how you target for your PPC, to terms that you use for any kind of launch or ads that you're running to your campaign, then you're not just trying to grab everything, you're laser targeting on the highest converting, highest relevance keywords and customers that will actually convert for your brand. So again, you could try omega-3, but just as Jill just said while he was up here, those guys are losing money purposely on the first sale, the ones that are professional, losing money purposely. So you're competing with a bunch of people that are losing money. Obviously, you're going to lose money too. But if you're really niching down with omega-3, you go omega-3 for dogs. Then from omega-3 for dogs, you go to the smaller market that's omega-3, organic omega-3 for dogs. Then you go even smaller and you go omega-3 for organic omega-3 for dogs, chewable. That now you're in a market where you can really own that. And when you do your launch, it will be so fucking laser targeted that you'll get right at that ideal customer demographic that's looking for the chewable because their dog's teeth are sensitive or whatever, and they want to have omega-3s for their dog's brain health and not have them have dog Alzheimer's. That's a really specific freaking customer versus the omega-3 guys. And yeah, you'll still be able to move up the chain, and you can do targeted testing with your ads to see how far up you can go. But if you're really niching down, you're going to have a much better chance of getting high converting, high relevance buys. And then licensing or other types of IP. I just put licensing in here because I have a great example. This is Paul Miller's company, Cozy Phones. Some of you guys know Paul, good friend of mine. He started his business just a couple years back, and they just rocketed in growth on Amazon primarily, but they also do huge volumes on their e-commerce site. Paul killed it with licensing. So if anybody's a parent here, you might know Paw Patrol. So I didn't know what this was because I don't have kids. I know Dan was like, yep, my son is freaking obsessed with Paw Patrol. Yeah, so I didn't even know what this was. But Paul told me, oh, this is one of the top 4 licenses in the world right now, at least in the toy brand. And I was like, I don't even know. I'm so out of touch. I don't even know what Paw Patrol is, but he's killing it with this because once he gets that IP, he gets that license property. Again, this is something that can't be copied. So once you launch, you don't want to get ranked and get that visibility and get all of that traffic and then have that be so easy to get that somebody else comes in and just bumps you right back down. And that's really common. So, in Judolaunch, we've seen over 1,200 launches go through the platform. So we see a bunch fail and we see a bunch succeed. And so we've seen the differences between what causes what we call a sticky launch, where you get up there and you stay, and what causes a non-sticky launch, meaning you go up, because you will still get the benefits, but then you drop right back down. And all of these tactics are part of the integrated strategy for having a successful and sticky launch. So Paul is doing extremely well. That's a defensible moat. They would get sued if another company tried to use that design and call it Paw Patrol without having the license. And Paul could just make one call and get their listing taken down if they tried to copy that. Can't be copied. So I'm just gonna hit on this real quick because this is a whole science, as you guys know, and I know there are other sessions that go deep into it. But I just want to highlight again the importance of images specifically, because that is, an image tells 1,000 words, and that's the emotional connection that the customer has with the product before they get it and all the way up until the time they make the buying purchase. Their entire experience, where in a store, like, you can hold and touch something and say, oh, I like that, that's kind of heavy. You know, when you're buying something online, you can't do any of that. You have to figure out ways to really creatively express that through your images. And I'm just gonna run through a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 formula for what your images should be. So you can take a picture of this, or I can send the deck at the end of this to you guys. So 1 is solo shot, white background. 2 is the benefits graphic. 3 is the features graphic. 4 is the lifestyle shot. 5 is another lifestyle shot. 6 is a multi-panel use case, and 7 is an up-close product-specific shot. And I'm going to show you examples in the very next slide. Use this formula straight up. I mean, you can vary from it, but this works, I can tell you. Again, 1,200 product launches, we see what works and what doesn't. This is a straight-up formula that you can just copy and use, and it works. I'll show you an example of each of these. By the way, why benefits shot before the feature shot? Isn't that kind of backwards? Well, before you even show what the features, why your product is so cool, the customer wants to know what's great about it for them, why they're going to benefit from it, what the best part about the product, how it's going to solve their problems. Then once they're emotionally committed to making the decision, then you talk to their intelligent brain, their frontal lobe, to say, oh, well, yeah, it's got all these features. That's why I love it so much. But they're making that decision before they've even figured that stuff out. So here's an example. Solo, benefits, features, lifestyle, missed another lifestyle, use case, and then product specific. It's a great example. Very close connection with this brand. Video, Amazon is pushing this harder and harder. Again, it's the ability for users to digitally, so to speak, pick up and use your product. You want to keep it short, 30 seconds, informative. It doesn't have to be like a sexy commercial or anything like that. On Amazon, we all know it's like the old rule. Ugly marketing stuff works. Like, it doesn't have to be a freaking Old Spice commercial with a cool guy making jokes. No, it just has to be informative, show the product. It has to give the person a visceral experience of what the product is. Again, this increases conversion. Video is increasing conversions on Amazon, relative conversions, not absolute conversion, but relative conversion by 3 to 6%. So not massive, but very significant, when you start to get impressions, crazy impressions. And then when it comes to the copy, again, this is an entire science. But at the end of the day, just remember, you gotta hit the robots and you gotta hit the humans. The robots are the A9 algorithm, the humans are the people that come to your listing. And we all have seen listings that are on one or other end of that spectrum. So on the robot end, you see the listings that are just packed with keywords and you're like, this doesn't even make sense. It's just like a big, giant paragraph, every bullet point with a ton of keywords. That might be great for indexing, although probably not at this point because the algorithm's getting more and more sophisticated. But that might help you index, but it's going to be terrible for your conversion. You're not speaking to your customer, you're speaking in robo language. But then on the other side of the spectrum, I see listings all the time for companies that we're potentially thinking of working with that just speak to the humans. They have no idea about the science of writing a listing to get it indexed, and they're not writing to the algorithm at all. You can tell they've done no research on the list of keywords they want to have in there and the impressions or anything. They're just saying, set of 4 comes in blue, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, yeah, that's very informative, but you're missing out on a lot of ranking potential there. All right, so that's all the prep stuff that we'll go over. Now let's get into launch stuff. So step 1, when it comes to keyword discovery, this is what you need to know what keywords you're going after, at least a general idea. You're going to do some truth finding and discovery during the launch process. But at first, using keyword tools, using tools like Helium 10, you want to find out what keywords you want to go after that are hyper relevant and have volume. And again, this is a spectrum. Like, you've got on one side, you've got the volume. And the highest volume, like in the omega-3 example, the highest volume might be the lowest relevance. Whereas the highest relevance is likely the lowest volume. On that side, you have like people searching for your own brand and your product. It's got 10 searches a month. It's super relevant, but super low volume. So you want to find the nuggets in that spectrum that are high volume and high relevant, or as high volume as you can get with really high relevance. So let's look at like a quick example. So this is during a launch. So the ACOS is relatively high, but you can see. So for this product, this key search term, lift chairs, super high volume, 62,000 searches, only 4 clicks, and out of those clicks, it got 0 sales. Out of 4 clicks. So it says ACOS 0, but it really means ACOS infinity. Because your denominator is 0. You got no sales. So that's an infinite ACOS for that. Whereas let's look at another term that got the same number of clicks with 1/20th of the impressions. Something's happening there. Same number of clicks, 1/20th of the impressions, and out of those 4 clicks, 3 converted to a purchase. That's a fucking high relevant term right there. So do I want to advertise and optimize my listing for the search term lift chairs? Or do I want to go for neck pain pillow, which is way, way more relevant? The numbers show it. So and you're going to come up with your thesis using these search term tools, like Helium-10. But then once you have your thesis, you have to test it out using the PPC. Because the PPC tool is running a PPC for discovery is what gets you the search terms that are specific to your product exactly. All the research that you do up until then is honestly just hypothetical. You can use all the tools you want, and you should. And you should come up with a thesis about what you think will convert best and what's going to be best for your product. But once you actually run the campaign, that's going to show you what the real keywords that you want to focus on. And those are the ones that let me go back to that. So once you find these, you run that campaign to do discovery, and then you've got all of these keywords that you can target out the high relevant, as high impression rate as you can while still having super high relevance. You take those and you dump them back into the listing. So this is like step 1 of the launch. You do this discovery, you find the keywords that are converting and relevant specifically for your product, then it's a cycle, and you run it over and over again. You find those, you dump it into the listing, and you target everything around that. Every blast you do, your creatives on Facebook, and especially your listing, even your image. Like if this was after 1 month, I would take this and change my strategy. I would make neck pain pillow right in the title, so that now every time somebody finds that, every time somebody searches neck pain pillow, they see mine. And again, you have to commit to a couple. Like, you don't want to try doing 30 of these when it comes to your listing optimization. Really find a couple that are super high relevant for you and super converting, and just do everything around that. Again, just commit. If you try to sell to everyone, you end up selling to no one. This is the strategy that we see works when we have launches that are really successful and really sticky. They commit to something. They're like, okay, all right, that's it then. I'm going to own this. I'm going to own neck pain pillow. Fuck, every back pain pillow. Fuck neck pain cushion. I'm just going neck pain pillow, straight up. And they commit to it. And you could do a couple, but really not more than that. So when it comes to PPC during launch, the 3 reasons that you do it during launch are to get reviews, to do keyword discovery that we just went over, and to get ranking. This is in not the right order. You want to do keyword discovery and reviews first, and then ranking, because you're not going to start ranking if you don't have reviews. You want to get 10 to 20 reviews before you start any kind of ranking campaign. Don't hit it really hard on these keywords that you really want to rank for until you've gotten some bank of reviews. And you could get the reviews through PPC, but just know that you're not going to be ranking at the same time. It's different phases. So you're going to start by building up your bank of trust, because Amazon's marketplace is all about trust. You're not going to start ranking, or you're going to just lose a ton of money if you try to start ranking before you have that bank of trust. And we already went over that. So when it comes to trying to rank using PPC, you're going to use super high bids. What you want to do is, you're not going to have bestseller badge, you're not going to have Amazon's choice, right? So you're not really standing out. You don't have a ton of reviews. You got to find every way to stand out you possibly can. So all the things that we went over vis-a-vis product design and listing optimization, those are great. But everything that you can do to stand out, that's why I love using the clickable coupon. It gives you that little green banner. You don't have the orange banner. You don't have the black banner. But you can get the little green banner. It says save 5% by clicking this coupon. And that shows up on the listing before they even, that shows up on the thumbnail before they even click the listing. So it's another thing that, oh, what's that? You know, just like the bestseller badge, just like Amazon's Choice badge, it just attracts more attention. So super high bids because you're going to be losing money. That's the point. We're doing a launch here. You know, we're not going to be like making money hand over fist during the launch. And you're going to artificially lower product price, but using a clickable coupon to attract more attention to the listing. And do an auto. That was the campaign report that we just looked at. That's for the discovery and truth finding. But then once you do that, use broad on those high relevancy, relatively high impression rate keywords that you found. Because then you do the auto, you find those relevant keywords, and then you can split those out with a broad match campaign to see even more specifically, you know, of those super high relevant ones, what specifically beyond that, what even more specific terms are being shown. And I mean, that strategy gets you just a really good idea on what's truly moving the needle for your brand. Can you launch with PPC alone and nothing else? Yes. Danny loves this. The rising tides. Yeah, they're going to talk about this later on in the panel tonight, so stick around for that. But so yes, that can be done. That's totally possible. You have to have a sophisticated strategy. Be careful because I think Amazon is getting wise to this. As Franz said in the presentation just prior to this, you know, big brands are like, what the fuck is going on? These like little private labelers are like beating me out, and Amazon is hence getting more sophisticated with its ad platform. It is the fastest growing division of Amazon right now. As you guys heard from Hans's presentation, they're just dumping money into this. So there are indications that priority is being given to older campaigns, more established companies. So make sure that you have a very sophisticated approach if you're going to go with that alone. But then, okay, so now you've set up the baseline. You've got a set of reviews. You've got the truth and discovery from the keyword discovery that you've done. You've got some initial ranking and some initial sales velocity with your PPC campaigns. Now, to really kick it up and to complete a launch, in my view, now you drive the traffic. This is like the final stage. You've got the foundation all set. Solid product, solid listing, the initial bank of reviews, the trust, the sales velocity, the keyword discovery. You've done the feedback loop of the keyword discovery back into the listing, so you know everything is super tight. Now you're ready to drive some serious traffic, not before all that. And that's more than half of sellers just want to go right to the traffic. Okay, I launched my product. I have these sales goals. I want to dump a bunch of money into Facebook ads, or I want to do a ton of like discounted launches to boost me up there. Well, that's when you end up with a situation where you're just throwing money down the toilet because you're going to jump right up, and then you're going to just come right back down. And so we'll go over each of these. We went over the aggressive PPC. When it comes to discounted blasts, yes, I'm partial because I run Judolaunch, and this is one of our services to do a discounted launch. But we get the question all the time, do they still work? Well, the answer is yes. I mean, I can say that definitively. We do it every single day. The thing is, it's different now. It's not like a couple years ago where you could do one day of a crazy number of sales and then you immediately rank and you stick up there. You have to have an integrated strategy like I'm talking about in this presentation. That's why I like to present about this, because it makes people more likely to do a successful launch that actually is sticky. So you're going to want to do a longer period if you're going to do a discounted launch. 7 to 10 days is best. We have some sellers that decide to do 30 days of like smaller units every single day. And that has worked actually. So, but we find 7 to 10 days optimal. For most companies, that makes the most sense. The daily units, if you have determined what keywords you want to rank for or what one keyword you want to rank for, just make sure that you're exceeding the sales daily units of the folks who are in the spot that you're trying to take. That's the general rule. And then it is best for certain profiles. Like if you're selling furniture, you don't do a Judolaunch with that. It wouldn't make sense. If you're selling supplements, yeah, that does make sense. That's high margin ingestibles, high volume stuff. If you're selling vitamin C serum, yeah, totally. So it works better, definitely, for specific categories, especially high margin stuff, high volume stuff that you can afford to send out a lot and really get that spot so that you can not incur the opportunity cost of not doing that. That's what it comes down to. Like if you're gonna do it slow and steady, just know that there's an opportunity cost in that period of time that you're expecting to ramp up to those sales where you're missing out on the sales if you did do it aggressively. Now it takes capital, and that's another problem, but we're not gonna go over that. By the way, launches are especially potent outside Amazon.com because they're so much smaller. The next biggest market is 10 times smaller, Germany. So you come in there, you're fishing with like dynamite when you come into a smaller market and you do an aggressive launch like this, especially because they're less common. Okay, so I'm not actually going to dive into the science of Facebook ads, but it's a great source of traffic. There are whole sessions dedicated to this. In general, though, what you don't want to do is just drive a bunch of Facebook traffic right to your listing. I hope no one's doing that. Don't do that. That's the wrong thing to do because you're not capturing the customer's data. You're not tracking the efficacy of your campaigns. You're just blindly, spending money just feeding Mark Zuckerberg. So in general, you want to have an ad that goes to a landing page that captures an email. Then from that email, you send that email the promo code and the link to the Amazon listing where they buy it. Instead of this, you can do the chatbot stuff that we went over yesterday during the presentation. I can't remember the name. Yes. That is, open rates for chatbots are insane compared with email. So that's a great strategy. I'm very in favor of that. Then, the ultimate really is your own list. I feel like I'm not giving this side of the room enough love. Are you guys falling asleep over here? No? Yes. He's falling. At least you're honest. That's nice. Okay. Good for you for being honest. Well, wake up, guys. Stay up. We're almost at lunch. I know I'm the last presentation before lunch, so everyone's getting a little sleepy. But that's true. After lunch, where you want to take a nap. So your own list is the best. If you can get this, that is the ultimate, really. The thing is, it does take a lot of work. Know that you're going to invest a lot of time and resources into this. You're becoming a publishing company, really. When you decide to cultivate your own list, you are now not just a products company, you are a publishing company, which is why there's another choice underneath that, which is utilizing other people's lists, but we'll get into that. So utilizing your own list can come in a number of different forms. You can have an email list, that's like the classic way. You can use a Facebook group. I'm going to show an example of that. And then you can have your messenger bot subscriber list, which that's honestly not my forte, but we work with a lot of brands that have insane success with that. So I'm very in favor of that strategy. This is my friend Travis Ziegler. Dude, his story is amazing. So I never could have imagined that there would be enough demand for a dry eye syndrome support community on Facebook to get 7,000 members. Like, I just can't imagine myself, maybe it's just me, but I can't imagine going like, oh, I can't wait to log into my dry eye syndrome group and like talk about my dry eyes. But honestly, 7,000 members. This is my buddy Travis, and they sell all kinds of eye stuff. They sell eye drops for dry eyes, they sell eye glasses, they're eye doctors, so they have their own endorsements, which is great. But, can you believe that? That many people just want to sit around talking about dry eyes. 48 new posts today. How many times can you post about dry eyes? I honestly, no, but it's awesome though. That just tells you whatever you're selling, there's somebody out there that cares about it. Somebody out there cares about what you're, if Travis came to me and said, I'm going to start a Facebook group all about dry eyes, we're going to get thousands of members, and that's going to be my basis for launch in the future, I'd have been like, good luck, bro. Good luck with that. But lo and behold, they killed it. And Travis says this too, by the way. He's like, yeah, no, I honestly couldn't believe it. But yeah, people wanted to talk about it. So when it comes to influencers, I'd be very careful with this because I have definitely seen it fail for a lot of brands. Especially, I feel like in 2017, everybody was talking about this and everybody was trying it, and this might just be my own perspective, but a lot of brands that I've worked with have tried this route, and it's just fallen flat on their face with it and lost a ton of money. I think this strategy is best if you have some, again, going back to those fundamentals, some really cool brand identity or product design things that are really worth somebody bragging about and talking about. I mean, you could find influencers for anything, really, but just careful about wasting your money. There are platforms like FameBit to get YouTube influencers. This is the one that was owned by YouTube. YouTube acquired FameBit, so now, I mean, that's the one to go to if you're going to find YouTube influencers. I'll show you a screenshot of it later. For micro influencers, now this is something, for those of you who are on a budget, this is essentially free. So this is one of those like cool tips that I thought most people are probably not doing. Brand24 allows you to see anywhere on the internet where somebody mentions, anywhere in terms of forums and social media and stuff like that, where somebody mentions your problem or your product, but you really want to go for your problem. Like whatever passion or pain your product is speaking to, the very specific one, again, going back to the high relevancy, high impression keywords, you're going to type that in, and then anytime on a public forum or on a public Facebook group or on Twitter or anywhere else where somebody searches somebody asks something about that exact problem, you can jump in there and comment and say, oh yeah, I've got some advice on that. If you want to chop garlic, you really need a long steel handle and at least a 16-inch diameter for your garlic chopper, or else, I don't know, it's going to get all sticky, or you won't be able to chop enough cloves at one time. And by the way, I make those. Here's a link to my site. This is free. So for those of you who are on a budget, you can do that all day long. I wouldn't recommend doing it yourself, but you can get somebody else to do it. And I've worked with brands who have had a lot of success with this. I have no relationship with these guys, but yeah, I've worked with a number of brands that have had success using this strategy. And again, it is good if it's something that is liked, speaks to some kind of specific passion that people like to talk about. Oh, and this is FameBit. So another platform to get influencers to talk about your product. Again, this just comes down to, if you don't want to cultivate your own community, it is possible to hijack somebody else's community. Whether that's a YouTube influencer, whether that's a Facebook group, your own or someone else's, because you can make affiliate relationships with folks like that Dry Eye group. You could go to Travis and be like, hey dude, by the way, I make this other eye product, like, would you mind like putting me on your site and we can do a deal together? Another excellent way to drive traffic. Oh, a couple of X factors I just threw in here before I close this up. When you're launching, so this sits in a bit of a gray area, but I mean, so many brands do this and it works. So if you want to get more real estate on your own listing during that launch, and this is really dangerous when you launch, because especially if you're using all these different traffic sources and launch services and stuff like that, you can end up losing some of the real estate on your own listing, like customers who bought this also bought and frequently bought together. If you link your products together in every way possible, it makes this launch have, I want to say rising tide. I keep stealing that word from Danny. This rising tide effect where, the success of this listing actually moves up all of the other listings as well in your product line. So inserts help with this, where you have, hey, thank you for being a customer. Here's my story, yada, yada, yada. If you get 50% off or 20% off this other product, if you go here and use this code, it costs you like 5 cents to add this in each of your product packages, and you have to slip it in there because it sits in a bit of a gray area, but it links the products together and gets you more of the potential to have frequently bought together. Customers who bought this also bought. Like we were seeing all of the traffic that Franz was showing us about the paid traffic on the listing versus in search results. So most of a customer's time on Amazon is spent not in the search results, but clicking through different listings. So again, like getting more real estate on your listing, so crucial. And to have a good launch that has that rising tides effect, you want something in place. Another way to do this is you can have, there's a timer there. I didn't even see that. I'm right on time though. You can have a right on your listing, you can say, hey, buy this product and get this other product for 5% off. You put a cross-promotional promo permanently in your listing. And yeah, you're losing whatever, 10%, 5%, but what you gain is all of that real estate on your listing. Those are the guys, and I can't remember who showed that screenshot. It was like, I think it was like dog treats or something, where like you scroll down and like all of the other real estate was like all of their products. That was freaking badass. I love that. But oh yeah, and then a gated sequence. When it comes to your email sequences, you can, this is a way to sort of get around the like asking for good reviews strategy, where you can have buttons in your email follow-up that say, yes, I'm happy, or no, I'm happy. No, I'm not happy. And no, I'm not happy doesn't lead to a review. That leads to them just sending you back an email or going to your website or whatever. Yes, I'm happy goes to a review. So, or a page that says, oh, glad that you're happy, here's some more resources, yada, 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 would you like to leave a review? So that's called a gated sequence. It's gated. You're trying to, in some kind of sneaky way, gate some of those negative reviews that might come into your listing and snipe them. So that's it. Again, I'm Chris Rawlings, CEO of Judolaunch. We can help with most of the stuff that I said in here. We can't help with the, creating a great company story for you, but all the other stuff we can. So we do whole listings. We create photos, videos, and the entire listing, front end, back end, fully optimized. We do product launches, and then we also do active, ongoing account management and strategy for our, subscription clients as well.